started in here, and then we'll go to you, Braden.
Despite the result, it kind of looked like another step forward for this team that had played well in Arizona. Did this team still take a lot of positives out of that game and kind of consider it more of a good result than a bad result?
I think when we had the opportunity to break down, look at some film, and I think they felt really bad when they saw the number of what I would call, not necessarily anything is a good turnover, but there's some bad turnovers where you can prevent them from happening just by making a better pass and things like that. And the points we left on the floor was probably the big thing that we saw. So certainly you can come out of that game and knowing that you let a game get away, but you let it get away to a veteran team that just hung in there and they closed out the game. Our decision making just in the last minute and a half of the game was not very good on any of our parts, bench too included. So unfortunately, we let a game get away that we shouldn't have let get away.
Was Robo pretty hard on himself? He had a few late turnovers and kind of seemed like maybe he was forcing too much instead of kind of letting it come to him, kind of like you guys have been playing before that point in the game.
I think that's a very good point that I think he can take away and we all can take away. Because there were a few times in the course of the game, even before the end there, where there could have been some plays made and we didn't make them. So my big concern with the team was to play the same way we played in the desert when we come back to Beasley in front of friends and family. And we did for the most part, but we can do any better. So I'm sure he can clean up some things as we can clean up some things before we play CU on Wednesday.
How do you get that out of Marvin every time? I know you're not going to get 25 and 8, but how do you get the energy and that level of play where he's bouncing for rebounds and kind of doing everything he did on Saturday?
Marvin's one of those players that if I could say the consistency of energy has been there from day one, it has been there. He's a guy that loves to play. He's a really positive, spirited young man that's hard on himself at times, but he does bring a ton of energy. I was afraid of him hitting the wall a little bit just, of course, of the last 3 weeks, but he certainly burst out of this in that game. But I think a lot had to do with that was the energy in the building. He just fed off the crowd, and certain players like to perform in front of people, and he's one of those guys.
I think between him and Robo, I think they're top 5 in the conference in free throw percentage. Do you need to find more ways to get those two guys, especially to the free throw line, considering they're both 90% shooters right now?
I don't know about more ways. I think the better we defend and the better we get out and run, you can put defenses on their heels and you can attack the basket. And that's probably the best way for a guy like Marvin. Robo tends to be more perimeter oriented, but certainly when we go to our smaller lineup, he's inside and he has an opportunity to score and get fouled in there. So the more we get out and run for Marvin, the more in our smaller lineup we can put Robo down underneath for him. But both of those guys are just excellent as a team. I think we're an excellent shooting team from the free throw line.
Colorado's really taken off the last few weeks. It looked to be kind of the hottest team in the conference right now, maybe with the exception of UW. Where have they changed since you guys saw them last time in Boulder?
I think the biggest thing, they play much tougher and they play more together. And they have tremendous leadership in right, and I just think the Tad's doing a good job with them, really, in keeping them all moving in the right direction. So they're a team that has really gelled nicely, and I think they're a team that's going to get better and better and better.
Is this as close as you've ever seen the conference where there's maybe only 2 games between 2nd and 10th place right now, and aside from UW at the top and Cal kind of at the very bottom, everyone else seems to be right there?
That's interesting because I look at that all the time, and UW's got that great continuity with their experience and everything. Outside of that, everybody had a lot of unknowns coming into the year for the most part. Players that were sitting out last year, transfers coming in, guys that have lost key players. So we're all right there. The good thing is we're right there with them, and we feel like we can play with any team in this conference. So UW has done the best job of being consistent with what they do, their defense, more so than anything else. And yet everybody's come after them, so they've taken everybody's best shot, which is only going to make them a lot better and a lot tougher mentally as well, too.
All right. Any questions on the phone?
Hey, Coach. I'm writing a story on Jeff Pollard this week. You mentioned to me earlier this season that he was going to be one of your 3 leaders, and he's such a positive guy, and he's always so upbeat, even when times weren't good for this team over the past month. Just what role did he play in the locker room in helping this team turn a switch there in the desert?
I think the thing about Jeff, where I've seen him really kind of come of age, is I challenged him about 6 games ago, and he has really responded well just to give us more energy, more leadership, more toughness, more rebounding, and he certainly has done that. His personality, his upbringing, whatever you want to call it, is so positive that, again, he's one of those people that regardless of what adverse situation you're going through, he's going to take the positive road. And because of that, he still has an opportunity to grow, and he's had some tremendous success. He's one of the fan favorites just because of his energy and his positive outlook on everything.
And then kind of going off of that, game in and game out, he'll body up the opposing team's five, and really got against some of the conference's best bigs. Jeff, it seems like he does a lot of things that might not show up in the stat line. Just what has his impact been on this team's revamped rebounding of late, too?
You know, every team has what you would call a glue guy. They're that guy that will do a lot that doesn't show up in the stat box. They're that guy that's not called to the media room a lot. Yet when you look at film, you see the charge, you see the loose ball, you see the block out at key times, you see some scoring, you see the verbalization on defense of keeping everybody in the right places. You see a lot of little things that as a coach, you need a glue guy on your team, and he's definitely our glue guy that keeps everybody kind of molded together.
And then kind of a timely connection, playing Utah this week. He's from Bountiful. Just what is the significance of this game for Jeff from what you've observed? And, how big of a game has it always been for him?
We've not really turned our attention to Utah yet, so that's difficult to say because our attention right now is squarely on Colorado, a team that's won 5 in a row. They're extremely hot, physical. They're a difficult team to match up with. And then we'll switch gears to Utah. But my guess would be anytime you play your hometown, home state school, you want to play well. No different than CJ as we went back to Seattle, those types of things. Jeff did not have a very good game in Salt Lake when we played there, and I'm expecting him to bounce back, though, however, this weekend.
Hey, appreciate the time, Coach.
You bet.
All right, thank you.
Good.